Hi and welcome. I'm Terry Gormley and welcome to this week's video. After my recent survey that I put out, I put out a survey to more than 100 business owners and entrepreneurs, and the results that came back were kind of astounding. And when you've been studying human behaviour for more than a decade, you see these behaviours repeating themselves. And one of the things that most business owners and entrepreneurs always say to me is, I don't have enough time, I have problems with staff, I've been depressed or anxious, or I'm not sleeping properly, and all these things all kind of come together with people. But one of the biggest ones that I get, which is why I'm doing this video today, is people say to me that often they're overwhelmed. So what is being overwhelmed? What does it mean? Well, when you're a business owner, you've got so many things to think about, right? People are calling you every day, you've got staff, you've got cash flow, you've got time management issues with yourself, you've got to balance your life with your family, right? And so what happens is, people do this thing called overwhelm in their head, and they don't really know why. So I thought what I'd do today is share a little bit with you that why people become overwhelmed and what's going on in their thought processes behind it. But the best way that I can really begin to share this with you is start telling you about a study that was done, over 60 years ago now, in 1956 by a Gestalt psychologist called George Miller. Now, George Miller did a study called the study of the magic number 7. Now, if you think about this, the magic number 7, and you think about overwhelm, and then marketing, well, what's it got to do with marketing? Well, what are some of the greatest headlines, right? 7 secrets, right? 7 habits, 7 this, 7 that, it's really all linked into this paper, and it became known, and it's one of the most well-known papers in psychology over the last 60 years. It became known as Miller's Law. And basically what Miller's Law said was that your conscious awareness, your short-term thinking capacity can only have 7 bits or 7 chunks, they said, of information. Now, what he said is that some people could have 5 and some people could have 9, but the average is 7. So the law became known as 7 plus or minus 2. And let me break that down for you so that you can understand why it is that you're overwhelmed. Well, what this law says is that the conscious awareness, that what you're thinking about right now, you can only focus on round about 7 bits of information, right? Now, I explain this to people like a coffee table. Depending on the size of the coffee table, you can put a number of files on a coffee table, but once you put too many files on, some keep falling off. And so many business owners and entrepreneurs tell me that, hey, I've got a bad memory. Well, actually, you've just got more going on in your conscious awareness, and so that more can go off. So quite often business owners don't reply to emails, don't reply to texts, or telephone calls, or don't ring people back, or forget things now and again. And this is why it is, because your mental capacity only has it only has around about 7 bits that you can focus on any one time. Now, how do you change that is a question that I'm sure many of you are asking. So I want to share a couple of techniques with you based on around the understanding of Miller's Law and their study of the magic number 7 plus or minus 2. And you can this is on Wikipedia. You can research it if you wish. George A. Miller, the study of the magic number 7. So the first thing that I noticed, the behaviours that successful people do, and again to help you shape your thinking, the first thing I noticed that people do is that really, really successful people, what they do is they write stuff down. So they have a journal, if you like, or a to-do list, right? I know that many of you, in fact, almost all of you, will have a to-do list over there. It's like that, and it never gets done, right? But what happens in the middle of the night? Business owners often tell me they wake up right? They wake up in the middle of the night with an idea or, oh, I need to do that, right? And so put a little book at the side of your bed. And why this is important is that when it's called brain dumping, when you take it out of your brain and put it on paper, you know that you no longer have to think about it, right? Because here's what happens, you know, as a conscious entrepreneur, you have to continue to think about all the things that you've got to do every single day. Now that takes up mental space, mental real estate, and you can't then focus on the next things, if that makes sense. You can't then plan because your mind is taken up. And you know, some of the biggest problems that business owners have are like, you know, well, first and foremost, 99% of business owners don't have an exit strategy. They don't know where the end is, the goal is, and if they don't know what that is, how on earth are they going to get there, right? They don't know what their true purpose is in life. And once they've got a purpose, you must put a plan in it, then you must action your plan, you must get proactive on it every day, you must evaluate your results. You know, all these things that business owners don't do, and one of the reasons is because you're overwhelmed, right? So these little tips and techniques that I want to share with you, you know, will help, I absolutely guarantee it. So keep a book with you all the time. When anything comes in your mind, just write it down. Now, a great tip that I tell people is, do you remember the old Bic pens? You get a white top and a blue bottom, and you've got 4 different colours in the top. That's a really, really great tip that I tell a lot of people that I work with, because once it's down on paper, you can forget it right then until it's time to go to your list. You can do it on computer as well, but you know, I find that just doing it on paper just seems better for people. Now, so the Bic pen, you know, black ink used for normal writing, and if something pops into my head and I'm like, and you know, I need to do that, and this happens with you every day, right? Well, it does, doesn't it? And you say, yeah, I need to do that. Oh, or somebody rings you and says, hey, have you done this? It's like, oh no, my goodness, it's not in my plan. And when I say in my plan, you're probably sat there thinking, what plan? Right? So I use red for priority 1, blue for priority 2, and green for priority 3. And I list them up, and then at the end of each day, I'll look at them and see what I have to do that puts it in my plan. And I think it's really important that you understand that overwhelm is just simply overloading your conscious awareness. But if you don't deal with it properly, what happens then is that going forward you don't get hardly anything done. You procrastinate, you don't plan. You understand? Because you're not freeing up enough mental space. So, you know, what I would do if I were you now is I'd use the brain dump technique, and then at the end of each day I'll prioritise it and I put it on to the next day. And only when anything comes into your mental space, you clear it out, and then you focus on one thing at a time. Now this is the importance of 90 minutes or using 20% of your day working on your business, not in it, on your planning of your business, on your marketing for your business, on the things that progress your business. You know, another thing to do is that if you think about it, there are somewhere in the region of 5 chunks of 90 minutes that you can have each day. I know a lot of you out there are working a lot more than that. But if you break it up to 7 chunks or 5 chunks of a day, and you just focus on them things on that single day, what happens then is you get a lot more done. And the reason you get a lot more done is because you've freed up your mental space. And when you can just focus on one thing, all your focus and attention goes on it, you get it done. But what most people do is allow everybody else to communicate with them, taking up mental space, these 7 chunks, remember? Oh, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, bing, social media, bing, Facebook, bing, email, I've got to do a phone call. You know, get yourself in a situation where you can focus on less than 7 things, ideally one thing at a time until it's done. Tick it off the list, move on to the next. Human beings love progress, and human beings loving progress, they love a list and they love to be able to tick off the list. You know, tick that off, tick that off, tick that off, and work on your high priority stuff like building your business. And I guarantee you that if you begin to focus in this way on certain things and actually make these chunks part of your plan. What plan? I know, most business owners. In a recent study I did, it is amazing how many people aren't even clear on the plan. It's amazing, but it's because your mental space is being taken up so much with all these things that are coming in, and that's the reason I wanted to share this video with you today. So to avoid overwhelm, it's all about clearing out, if you like, clearing all the desks, all the files off your coffee table or your desk, right? And just having one on at a time. Right? You can have your files all somewhere else. You can have a big long table with files everywhere else and all stashed all over the place, right? And you can go and find them, but just do one at a time. And what you'll find is, because this is how human beings are, what you'll find is that when you work on that one thing at a time, that you get more done, and at the end of the year, your business scales, develops, grows. And it's a common thing, is this, with business owners, and I just wanted to share that with you in today's video. So I'll see you again next week, and if you get benefit of this, by the way, comment on it, share it with other people, because these are the things. I guess the lesson here is, if you've got less than 7 things going on in your mind at any one time, you will be more successful than those that have got 10. Because what happens if you've got 10 is you're confused, you don't plan, you don't get nothing done, you become low energy, and you don't move on to the next level. Have an awesome day.